podcast. My name is Shelbie. This is episode 6 of the 3rd season of the Hire Women podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Brittany Friedlander. Hey, Brittany, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Before we dive into our conversation, we're going to share a quick update about today's episode sponsor. It is RMR Legacy Smalls, Respect My Region's cannabis flower line, available in Washington State, California, and many upcoming states to come. Current strains include Dedication OG, Super Mimosa, Rainbow Truffle, London Pound Cake, and Orange Sherb. Brittany, welcome. How are you doing today? How's life in Spokane?
Good. It's a busy day. It feels like a Monday, but it's a Wednesday.
You're coming at us live from Greenhand dispensary over there?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So we'll provide our listeners with some background on you. Brittany is currently purchaser and manager of Greenhand Dispensary in Spokane, which carries RMR Legacy Smalls, right?
Yes, we do.
Hell yeah. As well as sales account manager at Rvtus. Rvtus, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It is a packaging and growth supply company. You also consult for multiple companies, and you are a mother.
Yes.
So can you fill us in on your busy life and how you manage that all?
It's long days for sure. Luckily, when you're in the cannabis industry, everything kind of blends together. So it's really easy to kind of connect dots where people need. I think that's really where my skill set lies, is the networking side of things. I'm really good at bringing people and projects together. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yes, we love networking, and just so glad that we all got connected and you got connected to Respect My Region and that you're here now. So it's all like for a good cause. So can you please tell us about the teams that you work with over at Greenhand and Rvtus, and what makes these groups unique and special?
Okay, so Greenhand, I've been here for quite a while. My team here now is amazing. Hand selected, like the best of the best, a crazy mix. We've got musicians, artists, mothers as well. We've got one kid whose parents own a cannabis company, and he's really focused on marketing and digital design and things like that. So pretty well-rounded group here. Traffic always comes and goes. There's usually a pretty high turnover rate in the bud tender industry, but we managed to retain, some really key players for quite a while, and they're really doing some amazing things. One of my staff members here, Chris, is just getting started on his journey in like photography and videography, and he makes beats and lo-fi beats and stuff to help people sleep, and he puts it out on YouTube, and so everybody's got their own special projects on the side here. And then Rvtus, that I just recently started helping them out with sales. They all have multiple different businesses that they've had throughout the years, and then found a need for a certain area of things that it's kind of hard when you're doing shipping in from other countries. It takes a long time, tariffs and things like that. So that's where they had this idea to come together and make things easier and more accessible for the masses, especially for those people that are just getting started. Really good place. And since they've all already grown weed for years and had businesses and stuff, they can also, it's like a direct to a consultant at the same time to kind of help get everything going. And then just everybody that I run into, multiple different companies. I couldn't shout them all out, but yeah.
Hell yeah. I love that. It sounds like a really cool community that you have over at Greenhand with, and it could be a stepping stone. It sounds like they all have their own passions, and that's amazing. So Cool. Thank you for that. So let's start with the beginning. Can you share some insights into your journey into the cannabis industry? How'd you find your way into it? And what's your family's stance on cannabis?
Okay, so I actually have technically been in the cannabis industry really since birth. My dad was a hustler. He, as long as I can remember, has always been moving and shaking stuff around. And that kind of, I just, after, years and years have found out that that kind of all started when my dad and his friends and my uncles were in the military. So it goes back quite a ways for them even. I've just kind of always been around it. When I was younger, I was a kind of a troublemaker, got into, some wild ways, but then as a young adult have been just kind of always business minded. I've always had like 3 or 4 jobs, mostly in the restaurant industry. But you're always making ends meet however you can make ends meet. And luckily, I've always had access to really high end cannabis my whole life. So that's always been an asset when, definitely in my high school years. And then I got divorced in 2016. And this dispensary, actually, Greenhand, is just right up the road from the courthouse. And so I was coming here a lot, and I just really liked the place. I liked the vibe. I really saw where my years in the restaurant industry, and I used to work at Pier 1 for a long time, do merchandising. So I just really kind of, everything just came together. I saw like, oh, I can really do something here, and met the owner and been here ever since. And in that time since my divorce, I've really changed Greenhand, the whole aesthetic of the store inside, the vendors that we work with, everything has got my little touch on it.
So yeah, so like that's your new marriage, and it sounds like it's all
Yeah,
it's all connected.
My husband for years, definitely.
Awesome. I checked it out. It looks like you have a beautiful mural in the lobby, and it is like a cool vibey spot. So,
Mm-hmm.
job.
And so the inside of the shop, actually, a good friend of mine, Jacob Johns, he is indigenous activist. He actually, unfortunately, about a month ago, he was shot during a protest. So he's healing up right now. He has a GoFundMe page. I don't know if we can link that through later. But he came in and did the whole inside of the store, not once, but twice. He came in and did it in a more graffiti style that my boss wasn't necessarily happy with. So then we came back with a more subdued, like galaxy type vibe. So yeah, shout out to Jacob Johns.
Yes, and yeah, get well. I mean, yeah, we'll definitely try to link that page, and so he can keep making art. And that sounds cool that it's like an ever evolving space. Maybe he'll do it again and add to it over time. That's awesome. So, what was your first experience with cannabis as a consumer? What was that experience like for you? Do you remember like the first time?
Yeah, I do actually. I was really young, probably way before I should have ever been touching cannabis. But I think when you grow up around it, and especially like I'm an 80s kid, so things were really loose in the 80s. We didn't even really have like seatbelt laws. Like things were really restricted back then, or, not restricted back then. So at a very young age, I remember being up sitting on a bar stool around a bunch of adults and just grabbing a joint and hitting it. And definitely shouldn't have. I fell out of a chair. I like busted my eye. I have a scar from it still to this day. And yeah, that was my first. And then as a young adult, I've always had like really painful female issues. I have endometriosis, and my sister's husband is straight from Mexico, and he made me this poultice his sister taught him how to make, and they take weed and like alcohol, and he made this gross, disgusting stuff. And yeah, so, and that's been since I was like 11. And I started smoking weed 13 pretty consistently for multiple different reasons. But yeah, I would say those are the big key like aha moments for me where I was like, you know what, this is all right.
Awesome. Yeah, we got you in the chat saying that you're a legend. So moving on to your professional journey, can you describe what your first day working in cannabis was like? And yeah, what was that your first day actually working?
It was really easy. Being a bud tender is a lot like being a bartender. It's just a lot shorter interactions. And with Greenhand, I'm really lucky. It's a very local shop. Everybody is almost like family. You see a lot of the same people all the time. So it was really easy just to kind of fall into a pattern and fall in love with the community and care about them. And, you know, like it was just really natural, effortless. Like I had always been doing it. Like I'd always been here. Learning was super easy. You know, the weed science behind things, it's not as tricky as people think. I learned most of this stuff within a week off of Pinterest. You know, those charts are really educational.
Okay, shout out Pinterest. Yeah, I don't hear many people looking at that as like a learning outlet, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm. That and Better Buds from Ed Rosenthal. That'll teach you everything you need to know.
Shout out Ed Rosenthal for that too. And you also got featured when you were a bud tender, right? I Googled and I saw there was an article about you as a bud tender. How did that come about?
That was just one of those things. I was just here working, actually hungover, super hungover, rough night, rough day. And I was here and this kid just came in and asked if he could interview me. I didn't even think it was going to be like that was going to be what they were going to print. And I was just very honest, told him exactly what was what. He took a picture and now it's there forever.
That's good to get some recognition and like it does make people feel good, you know, when you have a starting out position bud tender and you get recognized, because it is an important thing. You know, people are coming in for medical recommendations and you got to use your best judgment for, you know, the selection of products to recommend for them. So it's good. Those positions are very important. So to get the recognition and people, and now you're a purchaser, you know, now you're a manager, like it's important so people stay in these roles and evolve and grow. So
absolutely. Well, and just the fact I've gained so much recognition with our consumer base and the industry, you know, both because I'm very honest. I'm very truthful. I don't lie. I don't really sugarcoat anything. I always want to get to the solution the quickest way possible. And so it's just really worked out well for me.
All right, well, let's get honest and shift our focus to the cannabis scene in Spokane. What are your thoughts on the current state of the cannabis industry over there?
Ooh, I think that the cannabis industry is kind of where the world is in general. It's a lot of high volume mass production. There's a little bit of heart left in here. People are really just kind of trying to scrape and hold on to the last little bit of rock and roll before corporate comes in and takes over. Washington is a really weird market because we were the kind of what started everything off. And so the things that we went for, it's like when you were a kid, when you were going to ask your parents for permission, you would give yourself all these limitations like, Mom, can I go stay the night at Sarah's? Please, I'll call you every hour. We won't leave the house, you know, A, B, and C. And so that's kind of what happened with the Washington market. We asked for like such a limited situation and we're having to live through that now, you know, years and years later. And so for the newer markets, it's easier for them to just start their structure correctly. For us to have to try to go in and restructure is really difficult, but it's what's necessary for us to move forward properly. Little things like in Washington, we're super heavily taxed. It's like 49.5% tax rate. And all of this money, like so much money that we've generated over the years, is supposed to go to make sure that all of the youth in Washington state has insurance. But I know pretty much everybody still has to pay for insurance for their children. I know myself, I have to pay. And then 1% of all of that money is supposed to be used for cannabis research for Washington state. And that has yet to happen. And when I was with high officials for Washington state and I asked that question, well, what is being done with that 1% of money? They said that it's being reallocated to other things. And when I asked if there was anybody from the cannabis industry that was on any of those committees that decides how that money is reallocated, they said no. So It needs to be restructured. Everybody's so busy trying not to have their businesses drowned that they can't be involved with the restructuring. So it's a pretty desperate climate right now in Washington State.
Do you have any plans to try to get involved more in that?
I thought about it.
Like you already got a lot going on too.
Yeah, I've got a lot going on. Politics is tricky. It's, I just kind of dabbled in a little, and what it's going to take to get change the way that we need is a lot of money. And unfortunately, the people who have money to throw in, they want to sway the change and not in the direction that we want it to sway. So it's kind of counterproductive. I feel like I will be most useful getting out and creating new things, whether in Washington State or other states, wherever.
Well, thank you for
creation.
Thank you for like highlighting the need for that, and thank you for at least being there to ask those questions. Where's the money going? Are there other people involved who are a part of cannabis? So anybody in Washington and Spokane who has the time and who cares, definitely get involved with the local authorities and the community, the city councils and stuff. Like, we need to get things going and get people.
Oh, yeah, shout out the WACA people. They are amazing. They're really good at lobbying and really getting things done. If you're going to throw any of your time and energy anywhere, I would throw it to them. Vicky, shout out Vicky from WACA.
Vicky from WACA. I know you spoke about like Indigenous in the area. And where were you working? I remember I asked you, how do you spell that? It starts with an N.
Oh, Nespelum. Yeah. I'm from Nespelum, Washington. It's the Colville Indian Reservation.
Huh. Cool. Mm-hmm. I love.
It's like 2 hours from Spokane.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had the opportunity to attend any industry events or expos?
Oh yeah, all kinds.
What's your favorite?
Interchange. I'm a big fan of Interchange. I've gotten a lot of business done there. It's just a really nice professional setting. Unfortunately, the way that Washington's market is regulated, we don't really have the freedom to network and do the things that we would like to do. That kind of ties back into the whole, restructuring things. It would be nice if we had a weed cafe where you could just go kind of chill out. It would be nice if you had, even if it's not going to be open consumption, because I get that, right? But there should be, just like there's always a beer garden. You can't even go to a fair or anything. You can't go to Chuck E. Cheese without getting a beer. There should be at least certain areas where we can go consume without being hassled everywhere.
That's a really good point when you think about it. Yeah, you could get a pitcher of beer at Chuck E. Cheese where there's tons of kids around. But, well, you got to come to California. Just real quick, I did go to a cannabis cafe last night, actually, in LA. Those are popping up. So what's up, Washington?
Oh, we're behind the times.
But I know eventually everybody will see what other people are doing and what's working. And, and see, like, there's not much risk and people can safely consume with food around, and there's not a big deal, and I think they do keep alcohol separate from cannabis wherever it is over here, so maybe that's the answer. But thank you for talking about Interchange as well. Mm-hmm. How do you think these events benefit the industry, both as an insider and an outsider?
Well, networking is always good. Most people that have gotten to cannabis are an outcast in some form or another. It's always good to be able to put a face, especially, like I said, with the climate in Washington. It's good to know that you're not the only one struggling. It's good to laugh with people. There's not really a whole lot of, like, as an outsider, people outside the events, again, because the way that everything's set up with regulations, there's not really a way for that co-mingling to happen. I know Cantana Fest does a good job at kind of trying to do that. Scott McKinley and Redman, but it's so fresh that they're not really getting the high turnouts that are really needed to make something cool. There used to be Hemp Fest back in the day for years and years and years. I wish we could get back to that level.
I know earlier you mentioned like the rock and roll part. Like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Here in California, we had cannabis cups and festivals as well. And I know exactly what you mean. Like, there was more sampling going on. There was more just, it was just so fun. And so I miss that part of the culture. And I can't wait. I hope that eventually things get back to those days because nothing went wrong. You know, we didn't see fights and stuff, and everyone was just having a good time, and it was a great way to like introduce your family to it too. I would see people bring their mom to these things, and everybody's just so wowed and seeing like what money can be made and what community can be made as well. Who are those brands and products that you believe everyone should know when it comes to Spokane cannabis?
So first off, we'll just kind of go through some categories on what I think everybody should. So, tiptoeing into the game, right? So for your very beginner users, your aunts, your grandmas, your girlfriend, people that are just using it for pain, things like that. Topicals, we're going to start there. The Dragon Balm from Series and all its various formulations, it's amazing. It's like Tiger Balm with a kick. I mean, it's like the end all be all. It works for everything. I also have recently become a fan of the cannabis patches from Mobius. Shout out Bruce from Mobius. They've got a women's monthly patch that has been a game changer for me. Yeah. Are you gonna? We'll link up.
Yeah, that's what I've been dreaming of. So
okay. There's a happy patch that's really nice. It's got some really good formulations, recovery, achy, different variations, CBD, CBG, CBNs. So love that to start in. And the edible game here is not great, super regulated. You can't go above 10 milligrams, nothing over 100 milligrams per serving. So it does make it, I know, right? So it does kind of make it tricky to have a favorite. And you also can't use any pasteurization. So like gummies and chocolates, and that's about it. So unfortunately, Washington has kind of shot itself in the foot for the edibles market, but there's plenty of like, if you like gummies, they're all great. Anything that has the nano micro emulsification, I'm a big fan of. So again, shout out to Series and Mobius. They have those in their drinks. Flower wise, Washington does grow amazing weed, and I could go on and on and on and on about amazing flower brands. I'm just going to shout out a quick couple. Gold Leaf is amazing. Their terp profiles are amazing. Their infused joints, they have these diamond tip joints that are just like, they'll get you. Heavenly Buds, I love them. Their rosin is amazing. It's really fairly priced, but the quality is really up there. Anybody that really cares about the craft, it's always going to come through. Let's see, who else am I smoking right now that's really amazing?
Beverages, are there beverages, or is it just gummies and chocolates, as you mentioned?
Oh yeah, no, there's beverages. So Mobius, that does the patches, they also have some beverages. Raised Lemonades, they just picked up the Jones Soda collab. So there's Jones Sodas in the Washington market. There's so many. There's a lot of shots. Oh, everybody's putting out shots right now. I'm really excited to see more minor cannabinoids in the shots game. THCV, for whatever reason, people are so afraid to touch it. I don't know if it costs a lot of money or if they're just afraid. I don't know what's going on there, but I feel like once THCV kind of hits the market a little bit more, we'll see a lot more, that more productive ongoing high. That'll be nice, like a nice little morning chai tea with some THCV to get you going.
Okay, you're getting innovative. You can make your own beverage maybe in the future.
Right. Disposables have really been big in the Washington market. Everybody's just releasing the dual chamber situations. Cookies has a really nice one. Microbar has a really nice one. So I think next year, everybody will really be pushing the dual chambers. Hopefully somebody will push a rosin dual chamber here really soon. Soon. Carts, that's kind of, I feel like the disposables are kind of taking over the cart market. Everybody just kind of likes that all-in-one, ready to go. And they're just a little bit more concealable. There's just a little bit more to that discretion factor with those. Yeah.
Are people able to get creative with the packaging, or do you guys have regulations on that?
Yes and no. Everybody's definitely get really creative, but you always got to kind of tiptoe. I feel like where the LCB really comes in and starts slapping hands is it can't be enticing to children. Well, I mean, no children can even be in the weed store, and they shouldn't be, having access to any of this. But anything's enticing to a child. Have you ever seen a 3-year-old? They'll put anything in their mouth: lighters, shoes, a bug, so. And
but
alcohol,
it's okay to have Hello Kitty wine.
And like straight Fruit Loops on an alcohol bottle. So I know like a few years ago, people were putting out just like Christmas style packaging, and that all got the kibosh because it's advertising to children. So I think that one loophole kind of keeps us very restricted. There's only so much that you can do inside those parameters. Again, with the edibles game, that's another thing that's tricky for edibles. Nothing can be enticing to children, so they had to pull all the color out, and it can't have any cool shapes. It can't be cool at all.
Man,
I know.
So do you find people like your friends and stuff, because the edibles market's a little restricted at 10 milligrams cap, are people making their own edibles?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's always funner anyways. I mean, because you can do whatever you want, and this day and age with a lot of people having, health issues or just wanting to be more health conscious in general, you don't have to consume anything you don't want. A lot of these candies are just like the junkiest of the junk, all the worst dyes and chemicals and stuff with some distillate sprayed on top. Whereas if you're taking some really good rosin or RSO and just making something really healthy that you already like a granola, then, or if you just want to get super smacked and just mixing it back with chocolate and covering your own berries and nuts and pretzels and stuff. That's my favorite way to consume edibles. Way better.
You're giving us a lot of great ideas. I love this. But yeah, it's so dumb, to have these regulations, because life finds a way and people are going to do it anyways, their own way. It's going to happen. So it's just like, just let it happen. But anyways.
But there is no restriction on how much alcohol you can consume.
Right. Are there any strains that really stand out to you in the market, or any strains from the past that you enjoyed and are still available in the market?
I'm definitely a Durban Poison girl to my heart. That's again with the THCV. That's one of those really high, get you going. So like those original like sour diesel, stuff like that. But lately, with the high stress factor of everything, when I smoke, I like really good indicas. So like purple punches, granddaddy purples, all of that good stuff that just kind of a deep exhale. I'm a blunt girl lately. Like when I can finally have the time to kick back and relax, like I'm relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So it sounds like you love THCV. Do you have any other favorite cannabinoids and any favorite terp?
And again, that's kind of changed as I've gotten older. I used to be definitely all about the like limonene and, all of that really uplifting pining stuff like that. And lately it's just really about taking it down a notch. And really, I have been consuming, I think, more CBD, CBG, CBC stuff as of late than ever before in my life. And with the patches too. I've got those patches on me all the time.
All right, done one over here. In your opinion, what are critical factors that determine whether a cannabis company will be successful or not?
Oof. Oh, that's a tricky question. Okay, so it goes one of two ways. Either you have like the heart of the people, right? Like you've been down since day one, you're in it for the right reasons, and you'll be okay no matter what. You always do right by people. You're not shortchanging your employees, none of that. Like those people actually do okay, and they will be okay. But the really shitty thing is just like any other time in the world, people that have the most funding to start with obviously are going to be the most successful. So the people who sell out first, the fastest and the hardest, obviously are going to be the most successful as well. It's just different types of success, you know, like legacy. This is where legacy really starts to get important. Like, what do you want to be remembered for? What kind of success do you want to have?
That's my next question for you. Like, what is your professional legacy? What do you aspire to be known for?
You know, honestly, my legacy, I think that I come into people's lives and I help a lot of people. I get them on the right path. Um, I think that's really what I will be remembered for. Like, man, she really came in, she kicked me in the ass, she got me going in the right direction. She listened to me when nobody else did. You know, she put me on when nobody else would. A lot of that. I hope. I hope that's my legacy.
I think so. I think you've already been exuding those characteristics. So I think you got it. So I know I hear phones ringing and stuff in the background. You're at work right now. Can you walk us through a typical work day and like how do you prepare, organize, execute? And this can be at Greenhand and Rvtus.
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 So my days typically start at 4:00 in the morning. I wake up, I do a quick round of answering emails, anything that's super important to kickstart the day. In Washington, we have JSON links and all this stuff that we have to do to be able to intake inventory into the store. So I'll start all those processes to make my day easier. Hopefully go to the gym. That always helps get my mind right. And then get my kids ready for school. We're all out the door at 7. I'm here to the office at 8. Get everything going for the day. What's coming in, what's going out, what's discounting, what are we doing for marketing, get everybody going. And again, like anytime that I can help somebody that I'm running into vendors wise, like throughout the day, if they're going through this or this or this, I'm like, oh, hey, I can help you with this. Make a couple quick phone calls, lots of phone calls, an ungodly amount of phone calls and texts throughout the day. Yeah. And then lately I've really been trying to prioritize taking a personal time, turning my phone off certain hours, really just allocating time for my children. My daughter has kind of adopted my busy, chaotic schedule. She does tennis, she does cheerleading, she does DECA. She has babysitting she does on the side, and she doesn't have a license. So it's busy. I got to run her around all the time too. So it's a lot. Always a lot.
Thank you. That's amazing. But yeah, you're a great role model for busyness. So you can't blame it. So now we'll just we'll switch gears and have some fun with some quick fire questions. I'm going to ask these questions and then kind of like a hot take, just respond with the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
What moment or experience was pivotal in getting you into the cannabis industry?
Honestly, getting divorced. Like I said, I was going to the courthouse all the time and all that stuff and coming by here. So if it wasn't for getting divorced, I don't know if I would have ever got in the cannabis industry. It never was. I honestly was afraid of going into weed stores until my divorce started. Like if I couldn't score from my usual sources, I would send somebody to the weed store for me. It was just, I was one of those. I was old school. I don't know what I thought. Because I don't know. I thought you had to like sign your name in books and like until you go into a weed store, especially as somebody who's smoked weed for a long time, it was scary. Once I was in here, I was like, oh man, this is the place, you know? So that's what got me in here.
And then what really inspires you to make the moves that you do as a professional in cannabis?
Honestly, whatever's best in that moment. It kind of shifts all the time, especially right now. Like there's times when you're expanding, there's times when you're kind of recalibrating. And I feel like everybody in the cannabis industry overexpanded because COVID made a really weird climate for the world. There, like we can't even discuss like how crazy it was in those times. And so people planned for that amount of money to keep trickling in. And so we went through this over expansion period. And so I feel like everybody across the board is in this recalibration. So there's not a lot of people really making like expansive type moves in that way right now. I feel like everybody's kind of just figuring it out.
Well, you've been a great help. What kind of music do you enjoy? Who are your top 3 all-time favorite artists?
Oh, I love everything. Top 3 favorite artists of all time. I would say Aaliyah, Too Short, and Aerosmith.
Okay, blow the whistle. What are your must-have items for a smoke session?
I'm definitely, like I said, lately I've just been about the blunts. I'm definitely a blunt girl. So I'm going to have a backwood for sure, Russian cream preferably, some fire ass weed. I'm a rosin. I like a little rosin down the middle. So some really good Heavenly Buds, papaya melons has been my go-to for a hot minute. Yeah, for sure.
What's your go-to munchies, food, and drink?
Fresh fruit always, like give me some mangoes, give me some cucumbers, all that good stuff. And it's cold up here, so I'm all about hot green teas with honey right now, for sure.
Love it. When it comes to representing Spokane cannabis at a high level, can you name 3 to 5 brands or products that you believe do just that? I know you were mentioning Ceres and Mobius a lot. Are those maybe your top?
Definitely for like that market, the topicals and the drinks and the edibles and stuff, they really do a good job. Spokane brands, there's so many really good brands. Method is a really good one. Root Down's a really good one. GLW is a really good one. The High Road is a really, really good one. Blue Roots is amazing. Good Earth is amazing. Spokane really has a great cannabis scene. The Premier glue, I wish I should have had like weed sitting here that I could just show you on camera, but the Premier glue has been like our number 1 seller here for 5 years. If we don't have it, people go crazy. It's the stuff for sure. It's some good stuff.
Okay, I want to try that. Are you into sports?
I'm not really into sports. I like watching sports. I definitely like watching fights. I'm a big UFC girl. Julia McKenna is from Spokane as well. Her and I have the same birthday. Love Jules.
Have you met her?
I have. We actually are friends. We met through a girlfriend of mine named Karina. She used to watch my oldest daughter before she went to the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, she's a great girl.
Really cool. My family, my cousin's really into UFC too, so always watching the fights. Like I've dabbled in jujitsu just to like get some basic self-defense. My high school sweetheart is a UFC coach as well, and he trains with Cub Swanson, and Cub Swanson's from my hometown, Palm Springs. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Food in Spokane. Do you have any favorite restaurants or local dishes that you recommend to visitors?
Oh, yeah. The food scene here is crazy. Wiley's, there's like, especially in the fall, winter time, there's this dish that Wiley's does. It's a braised short ribs with this like amazing mashed potatoes. It literally tastes like somebody's grandma loves you. I don't know how to explain it. They're amazing. The Wave, the sushi spot here goes crazy. There's this new pasta place in Kendall Yards. Kendall Yards is like a new up and coming district in Spokane. Sorella's. It's so good. The pasta there, it's handmade from scratch. Even when you just walk in, it's amazing. There's a Mexican place in Kendall Yards as well, Mole. They make everything from scratch and you can like smell it for miles and miles. Yeah, the food scene here is awesome.
I love how you described all of that. Like, tastes like somebody loves you and everything. And mole is one of my favorite dishes, so that's great that they named it that. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. And for anybody watching, we had a little cameo from our assistant producer, Danelli. He was there popping in. What are some other unique aspects of Spokane that people might not know about?
what's really cool about Spokane is it's a really diverse little area. Way back in the day, of course, this is all indigenous land, so there used to be all kinds of cool happenings going on here. And then there was like the World's Fair here back in like 1950, I think. That's where we got that weird. There's this thing downtown that they have all these lights in now at the pavilion. And then Spokane was actually made to be like a fallout for World War II. So all of these houses here have these weird, creepy basements so that you can go into in case there's like bombs and stuff. And then there's like weird catacombs and like a weird, creepy underground. All the restaurants here are connected underneath the city. So a lot of people don't know about that, but it's pretty creepy and cool.
I love anything about the old World's Fair, like all those innovations. So that's awesome. And yeah, I always think about those basements and those long, those connected basement tunnels, and always wonder, like, do they do haunted houses down there for Halloween? Because that would be amazing, but also pretty scary.
Yeah.
It's just scary being down there, like, not anytime. Is there like any local slang or phrases unique to Spokane?
I don't know. That's tricky. I don't know if there's like really like local slang. And especially because Spokane is such a melting pot, I kind of think that it depends on like what little group you're hanging out with. And I'm not part of I'm 39. I'm not part of these youngsters. I don't understand half the stuff they say to me anymore.
I know, yeah. Yeah. Dead ass. That's from New York. But
Yeah.
like things like that. I think I don't want to forget, are there any indigenous tribes that are involved in cannabis in that area?
Ooh, so there is not necessarily right here in Spokane, but there is a lot in Washington State. And the names are very hard to say. I don't know if you've ever looked at, like, Salish is our language, and it is very hard to get the pronunciation. So I don't want to butcher a bunch of stuff, but there's a few in like the Omak area. I know there's a lot over on the west side, both on the vendor side and on the retail side. So yeah, there is definitely starting to be more of a showing out in the industry.
Cool. Do you get annoyed when people say Spokane?
No, I don't care.
Okay. I've been trying hard to I've been noticing that I say things wrong a lot. So I've been like,
well, so Spokane, that one's not so tricky, but like in Washington, especially over on the west side, everything over there is hard to say, and I butcher it all. And I also think that everything on the west side, it's like all Seattle to me. Like every little town over there, Tacoma, Seattle, it's all Seattle over there. So don't feel bad about it.
What do people need to know about your future plans and any upcoming projects that you have?
Ooh, I have all kinds of upcoming projects. I don't want to speak on too many of them too much. 2024 is going to be pretty big. I'm working on some development deals, some things that I think are going to be really helpful. At the end of the day, like I said, I really just want to help people. I want to help people. I feel like our number one problem as a society, not even just in the cannabis industry, but all of us as a whole, is we have become too comfortable with numbing ourselves. And I feel like a lot of people are taking steps out of that, whether it's not drinking anymore or getting off of opiates or just getting out of your own head. So I'm really working on things to help further that movement along. Working a lot on more mentoring and consulting type things moving forward, helping the next generation, up and coming movers and shakers.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with or say to the world before we go?
What I say to the world? We are all connected for a reason, I think, is what I would want the world to remember, is the reason that everything is working so hard to divide us is because at the end of the day, we're so connected because it's necessary.
We are all connected for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Brittany. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Hire Women podcast. Brittany Friedlander has been an amazing guest today, and I'm Shelbie Vasquez. Please be sure to leave us a review in the comments, like, follow, and subscribe to our Instagram and YouTube channels. And don't forget to check out Greenhand Dispensary when you're in Spokane. And don't forget to ask about Respect My Region's cannabis products at your local delivery service and dispensaries. Everyone have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.